The stars had always been silent, until they spoke back. One moment, Dr. Marcus Reed was tracking cosmic radiation like any other night. The next, his screens lit up with a pulse so precise, so unnatural, it froze the breath in his lungs. This wasn't static, wasn't a glitch. The pattern repeated, Fibonacci sequences, prime number intervals, a language no universe would ever create by accident. "Elena," he whispered, fingers hovering over the console. "Tell me I'm not insane." Behind him, the astrophysicist's coffee cup hit the floor with a shatter. "Oh God," her voice cracked. "That's not a signal." She grabbed his shoulder, nails digging in. "That's a handshake." And just like that, humanity's first contact began. Not with wonder, but with a single, gut-chilling realization. Something out there had been waiting for us to listen. And now it knew we had. Please wait. Before we start, tap that iCar button in the top right corner and smash that subscribe button right now. Hit the notification bell so you're first in line when new stories land. All right, let's dive into the story. Chapter 1. The stars were silent, as they always had been, cold, distant, indifferent to the tiny blue planet below. Dr. Marcus Reed adjusted the telescope array for the third time in an hour, his fingers dancing over the holographic controls with practiced precision. The data stream flickered, numbers and waveforms cascading in a rhythm that made his pulse quicken. Something was off. No, something was deliberate. "You seeing this?" he muttered, more to himself than anyone else. "Seeing what?" "Another glitch in your coffee-deprived brain." Dr. Elena Vasquez leaned against the console beside him, arms crossed, one eyebrow arched. At 32, she carried herself with the kind of effortless confidence that made junior researchers trip over their own feet. Her dark hair was tied back in a no-nonsense ponytail, and her sharp brown eyes missed nothing. Marcus shot her a look. "I don't drink coffee, which explains why you're always 2 seconds from collapsing." She smirked, then nodded at the screen. "But fine. What's got you twitchy?" He tapped the display, enlarging a section of the signal. It's repeating, not random cosmic noise, structured, like a message." Elena's smirk vanished. She leaned in, her shoulder brushing his as she scanned the data. For a long moment, she said nothing. Then, "You're right. That's not natural." Marcus exhaled. "So either we just found proof we're not alone, or someone's playing a very elaborate prank. Given your sense of humor, I'd bet on the prank." Before he could retort, the door hissed open, and Commander Derek Holt strode in, his boots thudding against the metal floor. Built like a man who'd spent more time in zero-G combat drills than behind a desk, Derek had a presence that filled the room. His sharp blue eyes flicked between them. "Please tell me you two aren't arguing again." Elena straightened it. "Marcus thinks he's found aliens." Derek didn't laugh. Instead, he stepped closer, studying the screen. "You sure?" Marcus nodded. "Unless you know another source that sends pulse signals in a Fibonacci sequence." A beat of silence. Then Derek reached into his pocket and tossed a data chip onto the console. "HQ's been monitoring this too. They want us to reply." Elena's eyes narrowed. Just like that? No protocols, no risk assessment. Derek's mouth quirked. "They're sending the Olympus." That got a reaction. Marcus stiffened, and Elena let out a low whistle. The Olympus wasn't just another ship. It was Earth's first true deep space cruiser, packed with experimental tech no alien species had ever seen. "You're joking," Marcus said. "Since when do I joke?" Derek crossed his arms. "They want first contact handled right. And by right, they mean impressive enough to avoid getting us vaporized." Elena shook her head. "Or arrogant enough to start a war." Derek shrugged. "Either way, it's not our call. We're just the messengers." Marcus stared back at the signal, still pulsing steadily, waiting for a response. A chill ran down his spine. What if they're not friendly? Elena snorted. "Then we'll die knowing we were the idiots who said hello to the wrong neighborhood." Derek clapped Marcus on the shoulder. "Cheer up. Document worst-case scenario. You'll finally get that Nobel Prize." Posthumously, Marcus groaned. "I hate both of you." The signal continued, relentless. Waiting. The stars weren't silent anymore, and neither was Earth. Chapter 2. The morning sun cast a golden glow over the bustling streets of Eldermere, where the scent of freshly baked bread mingled with the salty breeze from the harbor. Elias tightened the straps of his worn leather satchel, his boots clicking against the cobblestones as he navigated the crowd. "Move it, will ya?" a burly merchant grumbled, nearly shoving him aside with a crate of apples. Elias sidestepped just in time, flashing a grin. "Easy there, friend. Those apples won't taste any sweeter if they're bruised." The merchant huffed, but said nothing, disappearing into the throng. Nearby, Lila leaned against a lamppost, her arms crossed as she watched the exchange with amusement. "Charming as ever, Elias. One of these days, that mouth of yours is going to land you in trouble." Elias turned, feigning offense. "Me? Trouble? I'm a model citizen, Lila. Ask anyone." She snorted, pushing off the post to fall in his step beside him. "Yeah, right. The same model citizen who talked his way out of a bar fight last week by convincing everyone he was a traveling poet." He winked. "And it worked, didn't it?" Their banter was cut short as a distant shout echoed down the alley. "Stop! Thief!" A scrawny boy darted past, clutching a loaf of bread, his face a mask of desperation. Without thinking, Elias lunged, grabbing the boy's arm. "Whoa there, kid. Stealing's not the way." The boy struggled, eyes wide with fear. "Please, sir. My sister, she's sick. We ain't eaten in days." Lila's expression softened, and she knelt beside him. "What's your name?" "Tobin," he muttered, shoulders slumping. Elias sighed, digging into his pocket and pressing a few coins into Tobin's hand. "Here, enough for food and a tonic. But next time, ask for help instead of running." Tobin stared at the coins, then at Elias, disbelief written all over his face. "You're letting me go?" Lila ruffled his hair. "Just don't make it a habit, all right?" The boy nodded vigorously before sprinting off, the loaf still clutched tight. As they watched him disappear, Lila arched a brow. "Since when did you become a saint?" Elias shrugged, though his smile didn't quite reach his eyes. "Maybe I got a soft spot for kids with no one to look out for them." She studied him for a moment before nudging his shoulder. "Come on, we've got a job to do, remember? Or did you forget about the relic?" He groaned dramatically. "How could I? You've only mentioned it a dozen times today." The relic, an ancient artifact rumored to hold untold power, was their ticket out of this dingy town. Or so they hoped. The tavern ahead, the rusty anchor, was their meeting spot with a contact who claimed to know its location. Pushing through the door, the smell of ale and smoke hit them like a wall. A hulking figure in the corner lifted a tankard in greeting. "Took you long enough," rumbled Garrick, his voice like gravel. Elias slid into the seat opposite him. Traffic was hell. You know how it is. Garrick's laughter shook the table. Always with the jokes. But time's wasting. You want the relic? It's in the old ruins past Blackridge. But word is the Crimson Hand's already onto it. Lila's fingers tapped the table. Then we move fast. How much for the info? Garrick leaned in, his grin revealing a missing tooth. For you? A favor. I'll collect later. Elias exchanged a glance with Lila. Favors were dangerous currency, but the relic was worth it. As they stepped back into the sunlight, Lila exhaled sharply. This stinks. Since when does Garrick work for free? Elias adjusted his satchel, his voice low. Since never. But we don't have a choice. The weight of unspoken worries hung between them as they turned toward the outskirts of town, where the real adventure and danger awaited. Chapter 3. The road to Blackridge was anything but forgiving, narrow, winding, and flanked by jagged cliffs that seemed to loom like silent sentinels. Elias kicked a loose pebble over the edge, watching it vanish into the mist below. Cheerful place, he muttered. Perfect for a leisurely stroll. Lila shot him a look, her fingers brushing the hilt of her dagger. Keep your voice down. If the Crimson Hand really is out here, I'd rather not announce our arrival. A rustling in the bushes made them both freeze. Elias slowly reached for his blade, eyes scanning the undergrowth. If that's a rabbit, I'm going to feel very silly. The bushes parted, revealing not a rabbit, but a scrawny figure with wild, tangled hair. Tobin, Lila blinked. What in the seven hells are you doing here? The boy straightened, wiping dirt from his face. "Followed you. Figured I owed you one." Elias groaned, running a hand through his hair. "Kid, this isn't a game. There are dangerous people out here." Tobin crossed his arms. "I know. That's why I came. I know these woods better than anyone. You'll get lost without me." Lila exchanged a glance with Elias, who shrugged. "He's got a point. We did take a wrong turn back there." She sighed. "Fina, but if things go south, you run. Understand?" Tobin grinned. "Deal." The ruins appeared sooner than expected. Crumbling stone arches covered in ivy, the remnants of a forgotten civilization. The air was thick with the scent of damp earth, and something else, something metallic. Elias frowned. "Smell that?" Lila nodded grimly. "Blood. Fresh, too." Tobin's eyes widened. "Maybe we should—" A sharp twang cut him off as an arrow embedded itself in the tree beside his head. "Down!" Elias yanked Tobin behind a moss-covered pillar as more arrows whizzed past. Lila pressed against the stone, her breath coming fast. "Crimson Hand. Told you they'd be here." Elias peeked around the edge, spotting shadowy figures moving between the ruins. 3 archers, maybe more, were sitting ducks. Tobin tugged his sleeve. "There's a tunnel beneath the ruins. Old smuggler's route. We can slip past them." Lila hesitated. "And if it's a trap?" Tobin's voice was urgent. "Then we're dead either way." Elias made a decision. "Lead the way, kid. But if this goes wrong, I'm haunting you forever." The boy didn't wait, scrambling toward a half-buried entrance hidden behind a fallen statue. They slipped inside, just as another volley of arrows struck the ground where they'd stood. The tunnel was pitch black, the air stale and thick. Lila conjured a small flame in her palm, casting flickering shadows on the walls. "Handy trick, Elias remarked." She smirked. "You're just full of surprises, aren't you?" Tobin, meanwhile, was already several paces ahead. "Hurry up. The relic's chamber is just—" He stopped abruptly, his voice dropping to a whisper. "Oh no." Elias pushed forward, then froze. The tunnel opened into a vast chamber, its walls lined with ancient carvings. But what held his attention was the figure standing in the center, cloaked in crimson, a curved blade glinting in the dim light. The leader of the Crimson Hand turned slowly, a cold smile spreading across his scarred face. "Ah, guests. How unfortunate for you." Lila's grip tightened on her dagger. "We can do this the easy way or the hard way." The man chuckled, signaling to his hidden archers. "Oh, I do hope you choose the hard way." Elias sighed, rolling his shoulders. "Yeah, that's what I thought." The fight erupted in a blur of steel and fire, the chamber echoing with a clash of blades and Tobin's frantic shouts. The relic, gleaming on a pedestal at the far end, seemed to mock them with its nearness. As Elias parried a strike, he caught Lila's eye. "Got a plan?" She ducked under a swinging blade, her voice strained. "Working on it." Tobin, meanwhile, had scrambled behind the pedestal, his fingers tracing the carvings. "Guys, I think I can." A sudden rumble cut him off as the ground beneath them began to shake. The Crimson Hand leader's smirk faltered. "What have you done?" Tobin's grin was triumphant. "Oops." The ceiling groaned, dust raining down as the chamber started to collapse. Elias grabbed Lila's arm. "Run!" They bolted for the tunnel, the Crimson Hand scattering in panic behind them. The relic, now clutched in Tobin's arms, pulsed with an eerie light as the ruins crumbled into chaos. Outside, gasping for breath, Elias glared at the boy. "You might have mentioned that part." Tobin shrugged, holding up the relic. "But we got it, didn't we?" Lila stared at the artifact, then at the dust cloud rising from the ruins. "Yeah, now we just have to live long enough to use it." The distant shouts of surviving Crimson Hand members sent them sprinting into the forest, the real stakes of their mission finally sinking in. Chapter 4. The new ship emerged from the void like a nightmare given form. Its obsidian hull swallowing starlight, its edges sharp enough to cut space itself. It dwarfed the first alien vessel, making even the Olympus seem like a child's toy in comparison. A low hum vibrated through the deck plates as its massive weapons arrays powered up, bathing the bridge in an eerie violet glow. Elena's fingers froze over her console. That's not just a warship. That's a dreadnought. Rachel's grip tightened on her weapon controls, her knuckles whitening. Well, that escalated quickly. Anyone else suddenly miss Earth's boring old politics? Derek didn't take his eyes off the view screen. Marcus hailed him again. Maybe they're just here to chat. Marcus shot him a look. You're joking, right? Of course he's joking, Elena muttered, already running scans. Their energy signatures are syncing. They're preparing to fire. The original alien vessel's voice crackled through the comms again, but this time there was something different, an undercurrent of something almost like reverence. You have attracted the attention of the Vorith Empire. Submit or perish. Rachel let out a slow breath. Option 3. We run like hell. Derek shook his head. We wouldn't make it 10 clicks before they turn us into space dust. Marcus turned to Elena, his voice low. Can we outgun them? She didn't answer immediately, her eyes darting across the data streams. Then no, but maybe we can outthink them. Derek raised an eyebrow. I'm listening. Elena's fingers flew across the console. Their scans are focused on our tech. They want our systems, our weapons. So let's give them a show. Rachel frowned. What kind of show? The kind where we pretend to destroy everything valuable before they can take it. Marcus blinked. You want to fake a self-destruct? Elena nodded. We overload the core just enough to make it look convincing, then eject it. The explosion will mask our escape trajectory. Derek rubbed his chin. Risky. If they call our bluff, we're dead anyway, Rachel finished. I say we roll the dice. The Vorith Dreadnought's weapons glowed brighter, charging for another volley. Marcus swallowed hard. No time to debate. Do it. Elena's hands moved with practiced precision, rerouting power, setting the sequence. The Olympus's core began pulsing erratically, alarms blaring across the bridge. Rachel winced at the noise. Couldn't you have muted the alarms? This is giving me a headache. Authenticity, Elena shot back without looking up. They'll expect panic. Derek gripped the arms of his chair. Here goes nothing. With a final keystroke, Elena triggered the sequence. The core's energy signature spiked wildly, the ship shuddering as warning lights flashed crimson. Cease your self-destruction. The Vorith commander's voice boomed through the comms, tinged with something new. Urgency. You will surrender your technology. Elena smirked. Too late. She hit the final command. The core ejected with a blinding flash, hurtling toward the alien ships. For one heart-stopping moment, the Olympus hung in space, vulnerable. Then the core detonated. The explosion was spectacular, a miniature sun blooming in the darkness, washing out sensors, obscuring everything in its glare. Now, Derek barked. Elena engaged the emergency thrusters, the Olympus lurching sideways, slipping behind the expanding plasma cloud. The cloaking systems kicked in, their signature vanishing from scanners. Rachel let out a shaky laugh. Holy hell, did we just pull that off? Marcus wiped sweat from his brow. Don't celebrate yet. They'll realize we're missing soon enough. Derek watched the view screen as the Vorith ships circled the fading explosion, their movements agitated. They're confused. Good, but Elena wasn't celebrating. Her screen flickered with incoming data. They're scanning the debris, and they just locked onto something. Marcus frowned. What? She turned, her face grim. The core's black box. It's still transmitting. Rachel groaned. You're kidding me. Derek's jaw tightened. What's it sending? Elena's fingers flew across the console. Everything. Ship schematics. Weapon specs. Even our last known coordinates. Silence fell over the bridge. Then the comms crackled to life once more. The Vorith commander's voice colder than the void itself. You hide your true capabilities, but we have seen enough. Your species is dangerous. You will be contained. The transmission cut out. Marcus looked at the others, his blood running cold. They're coming for Earth. Derek stood, his voice steady but his eyes burning with determination. Then we warn them, and we fight. Outside, the stars watched silently as the Olympus fled toward home, and the Vorith Empire turned its gaze toward a small, blue planet called Earth. Chapter 5. The relic pulsed in Elias's hands like a living thing, its eerie glow casting long shadows across the damp forest floor. Lila eyed it warily, her fingers twitching toward her dagger. That thing gives me the creeps. You sure it's not cursed? Elias turned it over, the light flickering across his face. Oh, it's definitely cursed. But cursed is better than dead, right? Tobin, who had been unusually quiet since their narrow escape, suddenly perked up. I heard stories about relics like this. They say it can grant wishes, but only if you pay the price. Lila scoffed. And what's the price, kid? Your firstborn? A pint of blood? Tobin shrugged. Dunno, but the old woman who told me the story said the relic chooses who can use it. Elias raised an eyebrow. Charming. So we're carrying around a picky magical artifact that might decide to kill us on a whim. He tossed it lightly in the air, catching it with a grin. Still better than dealing with the Crimson Hand again. As if summoned by his words, a twig snapped somewhere in the underbrush. All three of them froze. Lila's voice dropped to a whisper. We're being followed. Elias tucked the relic into his satchel, his playful demeanor vanishing. How many? She tilted her head, listening. 2, maybe 3. Not professionals. They're making too much noise. Tobin gulped. Or they want us to hear them. A figure stepped into the clearing, a woman with sharp features and a long, braided ponytail. Her leather armor bore the insignia of the Silver Dawn, a rival guild to the Crimson Hand. Well, look what the cat dragged in. Elias forced a smile. Oh, Kayla. Fancy meeting you here. Come to admire the scenery. Kayla's smirk didn't reach her eyes. Cut the act, Elias. We know you've got the relic. Hand it over, and we might let you walk away. Lila stepped forward, her stance defiant. Might? That's not exactly reassuring. Behind Kayla, 2 more Silver Dawn members emerged, their hands resting on their weapons. Tobin, ever the diplomat, piped up. Hey, maybe we can share it? Split the profits. Kayla laughed, a cold, humorless sound. Goo. But no. Elias sighed, cracking his knuckles. Guess we're doing this the hard way. The fight was quick and brutal. Lila moved like lightning, her dagger flashing as she disarmed one of the attackers. Elias ducked under a wild swing, driving his elbow into the man's ribs. Tobin, to his credit, didn't run. Instead, he hurled a well-aimed rock at Kayla's head, making her stagger. Kayla snarled, wiping blood from her lip. You'll regret this. Elias gave her a mock bow, looking forward to it. As the Silver Dawn retreated into the trees, Lila exhaled sharply. They won't be the last. Word spreading. Tobin picked up the relic, which had fallen during the scuffle. Guys? It's warmer. Elias took it, frowning, and glowing brighter. That can't be good. Lila's eyes widened. Unless it's reacting to something. Or someone. A low hum filled the air, and the relic's light intensified, illuminating a hidden path deeper into the woods. Elias exchanged a glance with Lila. You thinking what I'm thinking? She nodded grimly. It's leading us somewhere. Tobin bounced on his toes. Adventure. Elias ruffled his hair. Or certain doom. But hey, at least it'll be interesting. As they followed the relic's glow, the forest seemed to shift around them, the trees whispering secrets in a language none of them understood. The path ended at a stone archway, overgrown with vines. Beyond it stood a figure cloaked in shadows, their voice echoing like distant thunder. You have come far, seekers, but the true test lies ahead. Lila's grip tightened on her dagger. And if we refuse? The figure stepped into the light, revealing a face lined with ancient scars. Then the relic will claim its price, your lives. Elias grinned, though his heart pounded. Well, when you put it like that, lead the way. Chapter 6. The Olympus streaked through hyperspace, its engines pushed to their limits as Earth grew closer with each passing second. The bridge was tense, the weight of their failure pressing down on the crew like a physical force. Marcus stared at the data stream from the Vorith transmission, his fingers gripping the edge of his console until his knuckles turned white. They took the bait. Elena muttered, her voice tight. But they took more than we wanted them to. Rachel let out a sharp laugh, though there was no humor in it. Yeah, like our entire tech database. Great plan, genius. Elena shot her a glare. You got a better one? Because I'd love to hear it. Derek cut in before the argument could escalate. Enough. What's done is done. The question is, what do they really know? Marcus exhaled, pulling up the intercepted Vorith transmission again. They saw our schematics, our weapons, our propulsion systems, but they don't know everything. Rachel raised an eyebrow. Oh, what did we forget to hand over in our little self-destruct charade? The instruction manual on how to beat them. Elena smirked, though it didn't reach her eyes. Close. They saw what we let them see. Derek crossed his arms. Explain. Marcus tapped a command, and a new set of files flickered to life on the main screen. Classified, encrypted, marked with the seal of Earth's Defense Directorate. The Olympus isn't our most advanced ship. It's a decoy, a showpiece. Rachel blinked. Wait, you're telling me we've been flying around in the fake flagship? Elena nodded. The real tech, the dangerous tech, is hidden. Shipyards in the asteroid belt, AI-driven war fleets, weapons that make the Olympus look like a toy. Derek's expression darkened, and the Vorith have no idea. Marcus leaned forward. They think they've seen our best. They think they've already won. Rachel whistled low. That's actually brilliant, and also terrifying. Who the hell authorized that much firepower without telling us? Elena shrugged. The same people who sent us on a first contact mission with a ship full of lies, apparently. Derek rubbed his temples. So we're the bait. Fine. But now what? The Vorith are coming for Earth, and we just handed them a reason to wipe us out. Marcus straightened. No, we handed them overconfidence. The comms crackled suddenly, an emergency channel activating on its own. A holographic projection flickered to life in the center of the bridge. A man in a high-ranking military uniform, his face grim. Olympus, this is Admiral Graves. We've received your transmission. Status report now. Derek stepped forward. Admiral, the Vorith Empire is mobilizing. They've seen our tech, but not the real arsenal. They'll be coming in force. Graves didn't flinch. Understood. The council has been briefed. We're initiating Protocol Midnight. Rachel frowned. What the hell is Protocol Midnight? Elena's breath caught. It's the contingency, the one they never talk about. Graves' gaze was ice. Earth doesn't wait to be attacked. We strike first. The transmission cut out, leaving the bridge in stunned silence. Rachel was the first to speak, her voice barely above a whisper. We're starting the war? Derek's jaw tightened. No, we're finishing it before it begins. Marcus stared at the stars streaking past the view screen, his mind racing. The Vorith thought humanity was weak. They were about to learn just how wrong they were. Chapter 7. The final chamber loomed before them, its walls carved with ancient runes that pulsed in sync with the relic's eerie glow. The air hummed with power, thick enough to taste. Tobin clutched the relic tighter, his knuckles white. This is it, isn't it? The end of the road. Lila's dagger was already drawn, her eyes scanning the shadows. Or the beginning of something worse. Elias cracked his neck, forcing a grin. Come on, where's your sense of adventure? This is the part where we save the day and become legends. A deep, resonant laugh echoed through the chamber, and the cloaked figure from before materialized from the darkness. Legends? Or fools? His scarred face twisted into a smirk as he spread his arms. The relic's power is not for the unworthy. Prove yourselves, or perish. Elias stepped forward, the relic's light reflecting in his eyes. We didn't come this far to back down now. What's the test? The figure's gaze burned into them. The relic demands a sacrifice, not of gold or blood, but of truth. Lila frowned. What does that mean? Before the figure could answer, the relic suddenly flared, and the world around them dissolved into swirling mist. Elias blinked, and suddenly he was back in Eldermere, standing the rain outside the orphanage where he'd grown up. A younger version of himself, no older than Tobin, huddled under the eaves, shivering. His voice, small and desperate, whispered, "No one's coming for you. You're alone." His chest tightened. This isn't real." The figure's voice slithered into his ear. "Isn't it? The relic shows you what you fear most. the truth you bury. Nearby, Lila stood frozen, her vision playing out. A battlefield littered with bodies, her hands stained red. A fallen comrade gasped her name, accusing. "You could have saved us." She staggered back, breath ragged. "No," I tried. Tobin's illusion was simpler, but no less cruel. He was back in the streets, starving, stealing. Only this time, the guard's blade swung down before Elias could stop it. "Worthless thief," the guard spat. Tobin's voice broke. I'm not worthless." The chamber snapped back into focus, the visions vanishing as suddenly as they'd appeared. The relic's glow dimmed, its weight heavy in Tobin's hands. The figure studied them, his expression unreadable. "You have faced your truths. Now choose. Wield the relic's power, knowing its burden, or walk away and let another claim its curse." Elias wiped sweat from his brow, his usual bravado gone. "What happens if we take it?" The figure's smile was grim. "The power to change fate comes at a price. The relic will demand more truths, more sacrifices. It is not a gift. It is a pact." Lila sheathed her dagger, her voice steady. "And if we leave it, then the cycle continues. Others will seek it. Some will die. Some will become monsters." Tobin looked down at the relic, then at Elias and Lila. "We can't let that happen." Elias exhaled sharply. "Kid's right. We end this now." He placed his hand over Tobin's on the relic. Lila hesitated, then joined them. Together, then. The figure bowed his head. "So be it." A surge of energy erupted from the relic, flooding the chamber with blinding light. Elias gritted his teeth as visions of possible futures flashed before him. Wars, betrayals, a world crumbling under the relic's power. But beneath it all, he saw something else, a chance, a way to break the cycle. The light faded, leaving the chamber silent. The relic lay dormant in Tobin's hands, its glow extinguished. The figure was gone. Lila blinked. "Did we win?" Elias laughed, the sound shaky but real. "I think we just rewrote the rules." Tobin turned the relic over, frowning. "It's cold now, like it's asleep." A distant rumble shook the chamber. Lila grabbed Tobin's arm. "Time to go. This place is coming down." They sprinted for the exit as the walls cracked behind them, the ruins collapsing in their wake. Bursting into the sunlight, they didn't stop running until the dust settled and the forest was silent once more. Elias doubled over, hands on his knees. "Well, that was something." Lila smirked, though her hands still trembled. Understatement of the century. Tobin held up the relic, now just an ordinary-looking artifact. "What do we do with it?" Elias straightened, ruffling the kid's hair. "We keep it safe. No more secrets, no more running." He glanced at Lila. "Think you're up for a new job? Guardian of cursed relics has a nice ring to it." She rolled her eyes, but her smile was genuine. "As long as the pay's good." Tobin grinned, tucking the relic into his pack. "Adventure's not over yet, is it?" Elias slung an arm around his shoulders, steering them toward the horizon. "Kid, something tells me it's only just begun." And as the three of them walked away from the ruins, the weight of the relic and the truths they'd faced felt a little lighter. For the first time, the future wasn't something to outrun. It was theirs to shape. And that was the end of the story. Comment below if you want the next chapter, and hit that like button. Please subscribe, turn on the bell, and as always, keep the last light burning.